That's about the time that I realized that we had to get him out of there some way, because he wouldn't make it otherwise. Major Bernard Fisher, the first recipient of the United States Air Force Medal of Honor, recalled an unforgettable memory from his service in the Vietnam War. It was a ferocious battle in a Shao, a misty valley with lush green hills that soon resembled a scarred, cratered moonscape after B-52 strikes. On March 10, 1966, the Special Forces camp at a Shao came under attack from 2,000 North Vietnamese regulars wielding mortars, 75mm recoilless rifles, and automatic weapons. The weather conditions were entirely unfavorable for air support operations. Amid intense opponent fire, Major Fisher displayed extraordinary courage, going far beyond the call of duty. Defying life-threatening danger, he and his A-1 Skyraider braved all risks to rescue his comrade, Major Myers. Miraculously, both men survived. The A-1 Skyraider proved resilient enough to carry both men to safety, despite sustaining 19 bullet hits and taking off from an unfavorable runway. Major Fisher's actions were recognized as embodying the highest traditions of the United States Air Force, bringing great honor to himself and the nation's armed forces. The human factor is paramount, but the rugged A-1 Skyraider cannot be overlooked. Nicknamed the SPAD, it was the last American propeller-driven aircraft to see large-scale combat. With a bomb-carrying capacity rivaling the B-17, an endurance of up to 8 hours, and remarkable durability, it excelled in escorting and supporting rescue helicopters. What made the A-1 capable of such feats? What design and technical features enabled its success? Let's dive into the story of the A-1 Skyraider, an aircraft with an unusually long career, serving on the front lines well into the jet age. The unlikely warrior. By June 1965, the Douglas A-1 Skyraider was a 20-year-old design in a world where supersonic jets ruled. Many pilots called this propeller-driven aircraft an anachronism, a relic from World War II final days that served among advanced jet fighters. This seemingly outdated warbird worked exceptionally well in Vietnam's skies and outperformed many modern counterparts in vital combat roles. The aviation world embraced jet technology as the Skyraider began service. The early jet age saw manufacturers racing to build faster designs to gain capability and prestige. Military aviation underwent massive changes between the 1950s and 1960s as combat aircraft moved from propellers to jets. The A-1 Skyraider showed remarkable resilience despite this technological move. Jets like the F-4 Phantom, B-52 Stratofortress, and SR-71 Blackbird represented aviation's peak technology. Yet the modest Skyraider continued to excel in combat operations. The Navy and Marine Corps managed to keep the Skyraider as their main attack aircraft. It offered two vital advantages over jet-powered successors: higher payload capacity and much longer flying time. The Vietnam battlefield created unique challenges that unexpectedly suited the Skyraider's capabilities. Military planners found that there was more to combat aircraft than speed as counterinsurgency operations grew. The unique design of the A-1 Skyraider made it an ideal tool for various counterinsurgency missions, where persistence, precision, and adaptability were critical. With its ability to fly slowly and stably, the Skyraider could execute precise strikes near ground forces, playing a vital role in close air support missions. The aircraft's remarkable range also enabled covert cross-border missions, such as those in Laos or Cambodia. Moreover, the A-1's durability and extended loiter time made it the perfect choice for special operations, where warfare defied traditional rules, and success hinged on the flexibility of each iron wing in the sky. Air Force Skyraiders completed over 90,000 combat sorties by the Vietnam War's end. This included more than 1,000 monthly missions during peak fighting periods. The aircraft's resilient construction and extra armor plating let it absorb heavy damage while completing missions. This contrasted with faster aircraft that remained vulnerable to ground fire during brief attack runs. Engineering excellence. Inside the Skyraider's incredible design, The A-1 Skyraider's legendary performance in battle came from brilliant practical engineering. Ed Heinemann and his team at Douglas Aircraft created this masterpiece during World War II final years. They believed in making things work rather than chasing perfect theories. The Skyraider started as a carrier-based, single-seat, long-range bomber and ended up becoming one of aviation's most adaptable aircraft. The Skyraider's design team paid incredible attention to detail. Their research explained something remarkable. Cutting just 100 pounds of weight made the aircraft perform better in every way. The takeoff distance dropped by 8 feet, combat radius grew by 22 miles, and the plane climbed 18 feet per minute faster. This discovery led the team to look at every single part of the aircraft. Heinemann told his engineers to find weight savings everywhere, no matter how small. They came up with smart solutions. Streamlining the fuel system's pipes, valves, and structure reduced weight by 270 pounds, resulting in a lighter, more compact, and easier-to-maintain system while preserving performance. Engineers also eliminated the internal bomb bay, opting for external bomb mounting. This solution cut 200 pounds by removing the need for complex door mechanisms and reinforced walls, while allowing more flexible mission configurations. The dive brakes were refined to further reduce aircraft weight. The new design, with fewer components, was lighter by 70 pounds yet remained effective. Finally, the tailwheel design was revised. Instead of developing a new system, the team chose a simpler, proven older tailwheel model, saving an additional 100 pounds. The team's relentless focus on weight savings led to an amazing 1,800-pound reduction from the original design. This obsession with weight efficiency made the Skyraider exceptional. It could carry massive loads while staying nimble in the air. The Skyraider's design featured straight, low-mounted, tapered wings that made it incredibly maneuverable at low speeds. The wings had 7 hardpoints on each side, letting the aircraft carry an impressive array of weapons. The Wright R-3350 radial engine sat at the Skyraider's heart, giving it the muscle to handle heavy loads. The aircraft stretched 50 feet wing-to-wing and 39 feet long, weighing nearly 12,000 pounds empty, yet it remained surprisingly flexible in its roles. The airframe worked well for many different missions. The A-1 really shined at precision attacks, taking out tough targets like bridges or dams in mountainous areas. The design let pilots use advanced techniques like toss bombing or over-the-shoulder bombing with great accuracy. The Skyraider's solid engineering let it grow through 7 different versions. Each new model got better, while keeping the core design that made it so effective for decades. Pilots who flew the Skyraider swore by its toughness in combat. Unlike jets that were modified to carry bombs, the A-1 was built from the ground up for attack missions and had armor in all the right places. This design choice gave it a huge advantage in its main role. Marine Corps Skyraiders started taking heavy hits during low-level support missions, so engineers created extra armor protection. They added external aluminum armor plates, 0.25 to 0.5 inches thick, to protect the bottom and sides of the fuselage. Even with an extra 618 pounds of armor, the Skyraider still handled beautifully. The pilot's cockpit got special treatment with titanium armor. This focus on protection paid off. The Skyraider became famous for taking hits and bringing pilots home safely. The plane's tough build let it survive damage that would destroy other aircraft. The Skyraider's engineering excellence created something special that stayed relevant long after everyone thought it should be obsolete. Its optimized weight, flexible design, and focus on survival came together to set a new standard for close air support aircraft that followed. The Skyraider's massive payload. Pilots nicknamed it the Flying Dump Truck. The Douglas A-1 Skyraider lived up to this name with its amazing weapons-carrying abilities. The A-1 could carry 10,500 pounds of external ordnance on 15 different hardpoints. These mounting points balanced the aircraft's weight perfectly. A centerline pylon, 2 inboard pylons, and 12 outer wing stations did the job. The centerline pylon handled stores up to 3,600 pounds. Inboard pylons managed 3,000 pounds each, and outboard pylons supported 500 pounds each. These specs let pilots load up for long missions. A standard combat load featured 4 20mm cannons with 200 rounds per gun, multiple bomb types from 100-pound to 1,000-pound variants, rocket pods with 2.75-inch folding fin aerial rockets or 5-inch HVARs, napalm tanks for close support missions, specialized cluster munitions for various targets. Such massive carrying capacity gave pilots incredible tactical options. Vietnam War records show a single A-1 delivered firepower equal to several jet aircraft and stayed in the fight longer. The Skyraider shined through its mission adaptability. Pilots used at least 32 different types of ordnance throughout its service life. This flexibility let them customize their weapons for any mission. Ground attack missions saw a mix of general purpose, fragmentation, and white phosphorus bombs. The plane could carry specialized weapons like CBU-22 and CBU-25 cluster bombs. These used the SUU-14 dispenser system to spread bomblets over target areas. Veteran pilots learned to counter the aircraft's massive torque with smart loading. They often put a 300-gallon fuel tank on the center line and a 150-gallon tank on the right inboard station. This added 3,000 pounds of fuel and helped balance the engine's powerful twist. Skyraider in Vietnam. The A-1 Skyraider emerged as an unexpected champion in Vietnam's skies, showing remarkable effectiveness against sophisticated jet-age threats. This propeller-driven aircraft served as the United States Navy's primary attack platform and later became the Air Force's close air support workhorse. The seemingly outdated aircraft outperformed modern jets in several mission profiles throughout the conflict. Agility, not speed, made the Douglas A-1 Skyraider excel in Vietnam. The pilots could distinguish friend from foe by flying slowly through dense jungle environments where fast-moving jets struggled to identify targets. The aircraft's stability during weapons delivery came from its ability to operate at speeds as low as 100 miles per hour. The pilots used a counterintuitive tactic called trolling for fire. They flew low and slow to make enemy gunners reveal their positions. This dangerous approach worked well because of the aircraft's impressive durability. The A-1 can withstand hits that would destroy most jets thanks to heavy armor on its underside and sides. The Skyraider's Vietnam operations showed that flying closer to the action improved combat effectiveness in unconventional warfare. The aircraft packed immediate firepower when targets appeared. The Skyraider's extraordinary endurance gave it a unique advantage. While jet aircraft needed frequent refueling away from battle zones, the A-1 maintained nearly continuous suppressing fire until rescue helicopters could extract downed airmen. This extended flight time made it a great choice for Sandy combat search and rescue missions, one of its signature roles. Downed American pilots felt relief when they heard the radio call sign, Sandy, from an escort of weapons-laden Skyraiders flying rescue combat air patrol. Navy Skyraiders earned their reputation through extraordinary precision. They delivered 8,000 pounds of bombs accurately from carriers, hitting challenging targets like bridges or dams against mountainous terrain. The A-1's precision became clear during the war's final days. South Vietnamese Lieutenant Nguyen Lan, flying with the 518th Fighter Squadron, destroyed 17 North Vietnamese tanks in just 1 week. Each Skyraider carried 12 500-pound bombs, enough firepower to destroy tank columns with accurate delivery. The Skyraider introduced the concept of tough, survivable aircraft that combined extended flight times with massive ordnance loads optimized for precision strikes. The pilots achieved greater accuracy than faster jets because of the aircraft's stability at low altitudes, making it the top choice for precision-critical missions. The A-1 Skyraider's success in Vietnam challenged military aircraft development assumptions. Sometimes older technologies could outperform newer ones when they matched mission requirements perfectly. The Sandy Mission. The A-1 Skyraider's heroic Sandy combat search and rescue missions are the most important contributions to military aviation history. Brave pilots began missions to protect downed airmen in hostile territory. These dangerous operations became the Douglas A-1 Skyraider's defining legacy in Vietnam. Captain J.W. Doc George first used the Sandy call sign when he departed from Bien Hoa in late 1965. He kept using this call sign for local operations after landing at Udorn Royal Thai Air Force Base in Thailand. The name Sandy ended up becoming the standard designation for any A-1 aircraft on search and rescue missions. Rescue teams faced devastating challenges early on. A helicopter got shot down during one of the first operations in September 1965 while trying to save a downed F-105 pilot. Enemy fire damaged the second helicopter too, with its crew reporting a wounded member and fuel leaks in the cabin. These harsh lessons helped create better tactics. The combat search and rescue program evolved into a well-laid-out operation by November 1965. Each mission needed 4 Skyraiders. 2 Sandy Low aircraft flew to help the downed crew, while 2 Sandy High aircraft met up with rescue helicopters. The lead Sandy Low pilot took command of the rescue effort. Sandy missions needed perfect teamwork between Skyraiders and helicopters. Sandy Low aircraft first found downed aircrews through radio contact and provided immediate air support. Sandy High Skyraiders then escorted the vital Jolly Green Giant HH-53 helicopters to pick up the crew once the area was safe enough. All 4 A-1 Skyraider aircraft protected the area during these rescues and escorted helicopters safely home. This teamwork saved 4,120 lives during the Southeast Asia War, including 2,780 in combat situations. The cost was high, though. 71 rescue personnel died and 45 aircraft were lost. David with Goliath: How Skyraiders Shot Down My G-Jets. A feat that was supposed to be unachievable by military specialists was accomplished by the propeller-driven Douglas A-1 Skyraider. It was able to shoot down supersonic jet fighters while they were engaged in aerial battle. Strike Squadron 25-4 A-1 HTKS took out from the USS Midway on June 20, 1965, in order to provide assistance to a rescue mission for a pilot who had been shot down by the United States Air Force. These slower Skyraiders were assaulted by 2 North Vietnamese MiG-17s, which used missiles and cannons to shoot them down. Lieutenant Charles Hartman III and Lieutenant Clinton Johnson were able to deftly maneuver their A-1 HTKS and successfully destroy one of the MiG-TKS with their 20mm cannons. Both of the pilots were given Silver Stars by the Navy, and they were both given credit for a half-kill. On October 9, 1966, still another triumph was achieved. During the raid, 4 A-1 HTKS from the USS Intrepid were confronted by 4 MiG-17s. At the conclusion of the combat, there was 1 verified kill of a MiG, a likely second kill, and substantial damage to a 3rd MiG. Lieutenant William Patton, who was flying a 1H Boo No 137,543, positioned himself behind a MiG and opened fire with his 4 cannons, causing the tail section of the adversary jet to be hit. Those who flew MiG-TKS made poor calculations. They believed that their speed advantage would assure victory, but when they engaged in close battle, they found that they were outfought. In order to compensate for their slower speed, the Skyraiders were able to perform better maneuvering at lower speeds. It was possible for American propeller planes to turn more precisely than the Soviet-produced aircraft that were faster. Because of this advantage, Skyraider pilots were able to force turning fights in situations where planes were having difficulty maintaining their performance. The simple approach that they employed was outlined by Lieutenant Commander Greathouse, who stated, "Their basic plan was to attempt to separate the opponents, then get into a position where they could get both sections on one of their planes, which worked perfectly in this case." These successes in the air demonstrated how pilot expertise might be used to overcome disparities in technology. When operating at low altitudes, the Skyraider demonstrated exceptional precision, achieving stall speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. Despite the plane's stability at low speeds, one must possess outstanding flying abilities in order to achieve these triumphs. When it comes to aerial combat, the battles demonstrated that the expertise of the pilot is frequently more important than the specs of the aircraft. A veteran fighter pilot summarized the situation by saying, "A technically superior fighter aircraft in the hands of an inexperienced pilot will lose against a veteran, well-educated pilot in an inferior aircraft, providing the mismatch is not excessive." Final combat operations of the Skyraider. The final chapters of the iconic Douglas A-1 Skyraider were written during the final stages of the Vietnam War. Before its military service came to an end, this extraordinary propeller-driven warrior outlasted a great number of jet aircraft. The Fist of the Fleet of the VA-25 Attack Squadron created history on July 26, 1967, while they were stationed aboard the USS Coral Sea. Utilizing their A-1 Skyraider aircraft, they successfully carried out the last combat deployment of propeller-driven attack aircraft in the United States Navy. It was on February 20, 1968 when Lieutenant Junior Grade Theodore flew the final carrier-based combat mission, which marked the end of the Skyraider Vietnam era. During his famous final flight, he provided Marines with close air support and rescue combat air patrol at the base of Khe Sanh, which was under assault. Beginning in June of 1954, the aircraft that was responsible for this remarkable flight had been in service for a total of 14 years. After the retirement ceremonies that took place at Naval Air Station Lemoore in California on April 7, 1968, this veteran machine was handed over to the National Naval Aviation Museum in Pensacola as its final destination. The United States Air Force continued to use Skyraiders after the United States Navy withdrew them in 1968. When one of the last significant Skyraider flights took place in June of 1972, Captain Ronald Smith was awarded the Air Force Cross for his service. In the subsequent 3 months, the Air Force suffered the loss of its final Skyraider in battle. After the month of November in 1972, the United States military handed over the remaining Skyraiders that were stationed in Southeast Asia to the South Vietnamese Air Force. It was despite suffering significant casualties that the Douglas Skyraider was able to exhibit extraordinary efficacy in Vietnam. There were a total of 266 aircraft that were destroyed, with 201 coming from the Air Force and 65 coming from the Navy. With only 0.3% of its aircraft being destroyed in over 90,000 combat flights, the aircraft's combat record continued to be particularly excellent. As time went on, the Skyraider was eventually replaced by a number of jet aircraft, including the Douglas A-4 Skyhawk, the Vought A-7 Corsair II, and the Grumman A-6 Intruder. There are various design ideas that were acquired by the A-10 Warthog from the Skyraider. These elements include straight, tapering wings for low-speed maneuverability and more armor for survival. As a result of the Air Force Special Operations naming a new aircraft Skyraider, in 2023, the history of the Skyraider will continue to live on. This will establish a connection between this great warbird and modern aviation. The Douglas A-1 Skyraider demonstrated that technological advancement is not the sole factor in determining effectiveness on the battlefield. In spite of the fact that it was created as World War II was drawing to a close, this propeller-driven warrior excelled modern jet aircraft in terms of its versatility, longevity, and robust aptitude. It is through contemporary aircraft like as the A-10 Thunderbolt II that the heritage of the Skyraider continues to live on. Strong construction, a high payload capacity, and superb low-speed handling are the characteristics that provide the foundation of today's close air support aircraft. These characteristics were what made the A-1 such an exceptional aircraft. It was proved by the Skyraider that aircraft that are intended for specialized missions operate more effectively than multi-role planes. This lesson, which was born from innumerable ground support missions across a variety of battlefields, continues to be drawn upon by military aviation doctrine and aircraft design even into the 21st century. The A-1 Skyraider's story comes to a close at this point. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video. And what was it about this airplane that you liked the most? Post your thoughts in the comments section below. Check out the book Death in the Ashau Valley, written by Larry Chambers, if you are interested in learning more about the Ashau combat that took place during the Vietnam War. Have a good time in the following video.